This is an example you could use in production to create a custom wipe to reveal, let's say, two type of materials using a UV perturbation. So the very first thing that needs to be done here is to create a 3D projection. So this can be done by selecting the model and going under texture projection and go under spatial. We do have now an icon that the user can actually manipulate in place wherever it needs suit the user. So the spatial texture projection is designed to imprint the actual vertex position in reference to this icon here to the UVW information. So obviously, as you can see, the actual UV range can exceed the 0 to 1 range, so it can go from minus infinite to infinite. So this is really designed for procedural shaders. If you do map an image, basically the image will be projected right here within the nearby the icon. And because the icon here specified the actual unit, so this is 0, this is 1, so you can pretty much expect that this will be about, let's say, 10, and this will be about 20. So procedural shaders are really good for these type of effect. What I'm going to do here in this case is put a material on this object here and go in the render tree. And the very first thing I'll be doing is create this wipe that will actually animate and reveal the object over the sequence, so 0 to 100 in this case. The very first thing I need to do is take a texture projection to extract the UV information, and I'll be using a texture generator. This one is going to be gradient. So if I connect this one to chord and connect this one to the surface right here, and I do a render region. Well, the gradient has not been used in the proper axis. I'm going to use a horizontal projection. So let me just use the vector input, and the actual maximum range I'll put it to 18. So now you see that the actual gradient active range is going to be 0 to 18. Whenever the input is 0, you'll get red. Whenever the input is 18, you'll get more like yellow color. So now we have this active range, and if I actually start to translate it, I'm going to translate the actual gradient. Now what I want to do is have this wipe effect. So I'll do this right here and create this white to black, black to white to black, such that whenever I move this, then it will create this sort of wipe effect. And I'll set it to white here, such that if I move it right there, it's going to be totally black. If I move it here, it's going to be totally white. Right in the middle, I'll get this sort of transition between black and white, basically. Now what we have here is a gradient with 3 colors. I'm going to texture the middle color here, and the reason why I want to do this is I don't want to use a constant shaded or gradient here. I want to add a little bit more texture to it. So the way to do this is quite simple, is by using a texture generator. For example, let's say vein, and let's connect this one to chord and connect this one to the marker 3. So now what I just did is textured the third marker in the middle, so I can actually just limit the effect of the gradient very tiny to a very specific zone in the actual space. So this is one way to actually control the way things fall off. That is quite nice. Now let's animate to create this gradient animation. So we're currently at frame 1. Let's slightly move it such that the car is going to be totally white or near. Now just slightly there. Voila. I can actually take the actual translation and mark it. So we'll go to the frame 100 and do the same until the actual car is totally black. So we see that some of the image right here totally black. I just keyed it. So as I animate, the actual spatial control object is going to move, and that will imprint an actual animation. Now what remains to do is the actual animate the rotations. We really want to have the 3D texture spinning around the actual car, and so I'm going to mark the rotation and set a key and go to the end frame right here and say, for example, I want to have let's say something like something that is slow, so maybe 90 degrees, for example. So now as I translate and as I animate, I'm going to get a translation and a rotation as well. So that will create this wobbly effect. So I invite you to watch the second portion of this lesson, which is the next AVI, and that will explain how to apply the actual UV perturbation to this render tree. Thank you.